Hello, folks. Nicholas Crenson here, the new Messiah, the Psycho Wolf. And this is a new series I'm going to be doing called The Confessionals. And this is going to be like a podcast where I interview different wrestlers and different people. And today, my first guest, good friend of mine, WCE Interstate Openweight champion and member of the foundation, the Resident Rockstar, Shawn Jovi. How you doing, John?
Doing good, man. It's good to be here.
Now, this isn't going to be like, the Bryce show and all that stuff. I really want to ask some actual questions here. So, why don't you, for those who aren't really familiar with you yet, why don't you kind of give a little bit of a backstory?
So the name Shawn Jovi, like backstory like that, like where it came about, how this happened, or
More of wrestling in general.
well, I started on a trampoline, messing around with friends. Been a fan of wrestling for quite some time. Um, Dude, I don't know what I'm bad on the fly on this right
Oh,
now.
dude, that's fine. I remember like back in the day, I think the first time I got wind of you is when you were doing the Dandy Dan gimmick.
Yep, yep.
And whose idea was that?
Nathan Gusts.
Nathan? Oh, God, of course it's
Of
Nathan.
course, it was Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, huh, wait, Dandy Dan's wrestling? Wait, who's Dandy Dan Slater? Or Dandy Dan Selby? And I'm like, what the heck is this? And then I saw the impersonation you guys did, and it was freaking brilliant.
Yeah, it was a brilliant blatant ripoff. Honestly, I think like a lot of the early stuff I did was blatant ripoffs. Like think about it, Shawn Jovi. Everyone was like, "Oh, it sounds like Bon Jovi. That's stupid."
That was the obvious answers. Yes, duh.
yeah. That is the obvious answer. Of course, it's a Bon Jovi thing. And for most of my career, I embraced myself as like the secondary son that John Bon Jovi never had. But now I've embraced, a better Shawn Jovi that branched out on his own path and walks the King's Road.
Yeah, you really over the last year, you've actually had pretty much a resurgence of your career since WCE started, and you were basically done before we even talked about this. You were practically done, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't think this was even going to be a thing. Honestly, with the WC thing, I was invested, but I didn't know how invested I would be. And look where we are now, Interstate Openweight champion. Me and my BBC are running wild.
That is true. That is true, and you've had at least this year, at least for me, you've had at least 3 or 4 of the best matches this year.
Yeah, I don't mean to brag, but I definitely have the top two.
Yeah,
I mean, if we look at the polls online right now for match of the year and wrestler of the year, I hate to say it, I got a pretty good hunch it's gonna be me.
yeah,
Like, I hate saying that because I want other wrestlers to be recognized other than myself, but this year's apparently all about me.
yeah. And one thing I just thought of that is interesting question I'm going to ask everybody is, what is the approach you take when you're trying to figure out what you want to do in a match?
Honestly, my philosophy is writing stuff down's hard, right?
Yeah,
Writing stuff down and memorizing a script, that's right. That's actor stuff, you know. That's acting. That's theatrics. That's whatever. I mean, and that is the way it should statistically go. But unfortunately, I'm more of a see what happens going Leroy Jenkins style. You know, I go in like a juggernaut, not like a strategic person. You know,
yeah,
I go on the fly and go with the flow.
right. I've noticed like working with you that you like to do most of the stuff on the fly. You usually just try to have your main things done, figured
Yep.
out what you want to do. Um,
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it's I want both me and my opponents to shine. So I kind of like thinking of ways that we can both get our stuff in, but also make it entertaining enough to where we get copper stars and put smiles on people's faces.
right? And coming up, both of us actually, you're gonna be doing your first live show in a long time. How do you feel?
First live show ever, honestly.
Oh yeah, because
UWA kind of was live, but like there was like 3 people.
yeah,
But the thing is, like IMF, they have a whole crowd, whether it's people they know or people in a bar. I've never been in a bar and wrestled.
honestly, this will also be the biggest crowd I've had, and I've wrestled Sawdust Days where the tent was packed. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, this is more than a tent.
yeah,
This is a full blown bar, my friend.
yeah, yeah. This is gonna be big. Um,
I feel a lot of pressure, but I think I can get it done.
I was gonna say, are you nervous? Are you excited? Or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, honestly. Like it's hard because like I told myself, one, I'd never leave the yard. I would never do this in front of a crowd. I had no interest, especially in 2020 when or 2021 when this all came about. I
Right.
had no interest in doing live shows. We talked about it multiple times, and I was like, no,
Hmm.
I can't. But for some odd reason, you broke me out of my shell. Soldier broke me out of my shell. Omen broke me out of my shell.
Yeah.
Everyone broke me out of my shell, and now I'm at a point where I'm a proud and honorable champion, but also I've evolved
Yeah.
to the point where I think I could take it on.
And it's really, in a way, and I'll say this from my own experiences, like it's really not that different from what we do, with a smaller group in a yard.
It might even be easier because like you can get away with a lot more with a crowd, but you also can't.
That's true. Like you can get away with the crowd. The
The,
crowd actually, I'll say this: the crowd is something you always want to read and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work. But also, it'll help. It gives you that fuel you need, and the adrenaline will pump more and
yeah,
more. Um, but yeah, we are looking forward to Winter Clash, and I know you're looking forward to your match with Craven Rage.
yeah,
Um,
year and a half in the making.
yeah, it's like your
Fourth
fourth
encounter.
fourth
One,
one-on-one counter.
yeah. And then there's the one with Darkfire involved.
Yeah,
But
um,
that was all in like the first full year.
yeah,
And now we're almost going to
your fourth.
season. Yeah, we're going on. It's been a year and a half since I've wrestled Craven.
Yeah, last time you wrestled him was Three Doors Down one.
Yeah.
Uh, also, let's. That's another thing. You've been in you Three Doors Down one, Three Doors Down two. Both matches were great. Two was amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of creativity from that match for going on the fly.
Yes,
Honestly,
yes, that match is so good.
honestly, it was very creative.
You and Soldier just went all out on each other, and it was brilliant. Now, I'm going to ask the obvious question because I think most people have guessed it, but you can confirm it. Where the hell did that idea come from?
3 doors down. So I'm actually trying to remember myself. I think it was when WC first started. I was coming up with original match types. I wasn't sober, but I wanted to be original.
Were you watching a BYW? You were watching Backyard Wrestling, weren't you? You were watching Backyard Wrestling 2, the trapdoor thing.
Uh, yeah, I think so. And then like I was pissed this year's at Backyard Wrestling because they had 2 out of 3 doors match. I'm like, if that is as close to 3 doors down, it's gonna fucking get.
Right?
But no, I can't. I was coming up with weird like match types in my head. I'm like, what about 3 doors down? It's yard. It's yardy as f and hell. Like it's such a carny. It's such a carny kind of bullshit ripoff, but I love it. I'm making fun of. I'm parroting a band, and it's a match type. What more can you ask for?
Right? And I think the best thing we could have done this season is work with IMF for WCE,
Oh,
especially for you.
oh, I agree.
Like you fit in, even though by stipulation you're in the foundation, but you fit in it so well.
Yeah,
Like,
it's strange. Like when we were down there last time, I just felt like I was more family than just a member of the foundation.
right.
And it's starting to embrace it. And I know, like, we had that whole IMF WCE feud, but now I almost feel like I have two homes.
That's good.
And I want WC to obviously be my main home. I hold this belt for a reason. But IMF is like the home away from home. Kind of like ICW was back in the day with Indiana.
Speaking of which, how did you get involved with them?
Oh, man. So I would say, yeah, the first year of RCW 2000. No, this was 2008, the second year. Tyler Ritchie, aka Rex Renegade, was showing me his back air fed also on a trampoline, and it was Indiana Championship Wrestling. They had their event No Escape in 2008. I thought it was freaking nuts and brilliant. I fell in love with the product. It was much better than what I had going on, obviously. And around the same time they went to do a base, I also was doing the base. So like I was evolving around the same time they were, but they were obviously far superior wrestlers. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was barely getting my feet wet yet. But then one winter, I was on MySpace talking to Devin Bliss, and he was like, "Hey, check out this site where other backyard wrestlers meet, called the Global Backyard Wrestling News."
Hmm.
And there was a forum, kind of like how there's Discord nowadays for where they have threads and forums and all that shit on there. This was like a legit forum back on the day. Unfortunately, the site doesn't exist anymore.
So back in the day of like message boards, basically,
Yeah, it was like AOL Instant Messenger was still lit at that time. Like it was still a thing.
and free webs was a thing for websites.
Oh yeah, I used free webs.
Same.
Yeah, right. I forgot what they used for their for their engine, but it was something like that. I had the same one. I made another forum myself when the whole split happened. But anyway, back to the ICW. Yeah, and then I eventually met up with them in that summer in 2009. This was like over winter when I was on GBYWN. And then I had that TLC with Castle by complete coincidence and accident.
Yeah, you wanna kind of tell the story of that?
Actually, I kind of want to tell the whole story of because it started with Big Will. The whole thing started with Big Will. Did I even tell you the storyline there
Mm.
was behind this? So this was after ICW's first Super Show. I wasn't able to make it, but some guy Mike Creston was making. You might have seen him on the Jovi's Tale. He was making a Super Show, but it got canceled, and I had tickets to still go to Indiana.
Hmm.
So the CCW guys like Anthony, Massacre, all of them, they were like, "Oh, well, ICW is close by. Why don't we have a Super Show that way? Have me join the CCW side and make it a GBYWM versus ICW kind of series." And at the time, Big Will was the on-screen owner, as he has been pretty much the whole time he's been involved with ICW. And yeah, and I forgot what it was. Anthony beat him or something. Anthony Lee, and yeah, he lost his co-ownership to me. So at one point in kayfabe world, I was a co-owner of Indiana Championship Wrestling.
That I did not know.
There's well, next Jovi's Tale, I'll tell everyone all about it because I think that's the one I'm doing next. But I can definitely give the story. I mean, there was a lot that happened that week, and it was like my big welcome to backyard wrestling kid moment, you know?
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to face Castle in that TLC.
No,
Who was it?
no, no. It was fucking freak show. Split
Massacre?
yeah, massacre in the head with a chair, like cracked like 10 staples in the back of the head.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, needless to say, Massacre was out of the equation completely. And,
And this was your
God,
first time doing a match like that, wasn't it?
yeah, first time doing anything with a ladder, first time doing anything crazy like that. This was something I didn't know what I was getting into, but I freaking loved it. I had a shoe print on my face when I left. Castle's bad and bruised. He flew out of a tree at me twice. Like, I murdered him with the ladder. I gave him living on a prayer through a table. There was a lot that happened in that match. And some of the coolest, like, spots I've ever seen.
So this is your, what is this, your third or fourth run at
Uh,
wrestling?
Fourth.
Fourth?
Well, probably. This would be my fifth.
Oh, I see.
Because there was the beginning,
Mhm.
which led all the way until 2010,
Okay.
and then it might be four. Let me check. 11 was MWA
Mhm.
stuff, and then when that died off around 2015. Oh wait, this is my fourth. Then there was ICW. Then it was WCE.
Okay, so this is your fourth run.
So yeah, this is roughly my fourth time, maybe fifth if I missed something somewhere. But
Now, does this run feel any different from like any of the previous runs for you?
well, up until this year, yes, it felt pretty similar. It hit different though because it was in my home state for the first time ever for me. So it hit different that way, but like match wise, I felt like it was going about the same until I wrestled you. When that match happened, and because let's face it, after that match with Adonis, I felt discouraged
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I could have done way better. And it was frustrating. Like, there was even a point I was thinking about just stepping down for a while because I just didn't feel like I could do it. And
Which is
then you kind of talked me out of it without even knowing it.
well, I'm glad I did because really, you are probably one of the best wrestlers I've been in the ring with.
Yeah, it's thank you. It's painful to say, but like I thought like earlier this year I was done, and then I got mad. Something happened to where I got mad, and then I went to face you, and then I started feeling the aggression. I kind of just let it go at that point. It was between the time we fought at Vindication 2 to Ring of Destruction is when I had my meltdown. And that's when I started going all in, was really Ring of Destruction.
Yeah, like I said in the interview with Mr. Bryce earlier last week, like my favorite moment of the year was that slap off we did in our match at Ring of
Yeah, that
Destruction.
was nuts. Did it
Eh,
beat the slap off with you and James?
Honestly, I want to say it did. It definitely. I'm not sure if it beat the one hit KO slap off that James and Johnny had.
Oh, Jesus. I forgot about that.
Uh, but yeah. Okay. So this is your second title you've won that isn't part of RCW.
Correct. No. Well, that wasn't affiliated with RCW. I held when we were doing stuff with NWF back in the day, which was another
Mm-hmm.
promotion that just had a mattress or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I held their world title for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but we merged them eventually, so I don't really
Count it.
count it too much. It's all the same. It's all the same mush between RCW, DUE, and WF.
And I know you don't really count that pure title you won.
That's the one I counted.
Oh, that is the one you counted. Okay.
And the reason why I don't, well, I just feel like I didn't deserve it at the time, and that's around the time I got out of it too.
Okay.
It was just a lot of stuff. I mean, there was people that were just discouraging me, people who were just getting in my face saying I suck, and I just didn't want to hold it.
I think.
But I think that's changed now between that title and this title.
I'm just gonna say it. Madrox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Madrox, Pornstash, kind of at that time, and I think that was really it for like that portion, but of course I was discouraged from like GBYWM people on the forum too at the time. So it was like it was just kind of hard. I felt like the fat kid that got bullied out of the system, out of the playground.
Which is weird because like watching your stuff, especially anything that you've done in the ring, and just be working in the ring with you, you are like for a big guy, you are scary athletic.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Like I would not expect somebody as big as you to be able to fly through the ropes with a suicide dive as well as you do.
Honestly, what was the first suicide? Well, this one barely counts, but in NWF at the NWF place, we did our third anniversary for RCW, and I faced Rex Renegade, and they had like bungee cord ropes that they made up, and I dove through those for the first time. Mind you, I was 100 pounds less than I am now, but it was nuts. It was cool. But then you go to like 2015, 20, it had been like 2014, 2015, when I had that ring show and I dove through the ropes for the first time. That was scary. It was a triple threat match, and I was like, I want to try it. And they're like, if you wanna, it's a backyard show. Who the hell cares? And I went for it. I didn't. I almost didn't clear it. I feel like it was a tall boy ring, like a regular standard size ring. It wasn't a low boy like ours is. But and like easily, if I got my foot caught on it, like I have twice before in my life,
Mm-hmm.
both of which were on low boy rings, thank God. I feel like a high boy ring like that would have just fucking killed me.
Yeah, would have. Oh man. I
I like
mean,
low boys for that reason.
you were basically the first person I attempted to do one too, and I kind of hesitated, and luckily you were right there,
Yeah.
saved my life. I
Poor,
probably would have just.
poor Reyes, though.
Oh God.
Oh, poor Reyes. He tried. He tried. And, I give him
Oh,
all the credit in the world for trying.
oh God. Uh. Whew. But yeah, how important is it to you to be the WC Interstate Openweight champion?
Very important. It's the cream of the crop for me, man. It's something I worked very hard for, and I want to keep working hard to stay on top of that food chain.
And honestly, you've had, really with the quality of matches you've had this year, honestly, that belt fits you perfectly.
Hmm. I carry this thing around like I own it.
That's how the champion should do.
Yeah, I own this shit. It's my baby. It's my big beautiful championship. My BBC.
I love that you created that name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, MJF has the triple B, so I had to come up with something else. Otherwise, it probably would have been like triple B or some big beautiful belt. A big beautiful championship works too, baby.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Now you mentioned the match with me, helping you break out of the shell, the match with Soldier, match with James.
Mm.
Um, what have you picked up from us?
Don't hold back is a big one. We all know I've held back, and that it's cost me matches. It's cost me championships. It cost me a lot of things, and honestly, now that I don't hold back, it's a whole new me, a whole new era of Shawn Jovi, and that's the goal. I called my shot early last year, did I not?
Mm-hmm.
I called it the year before too, but that ended sad.
Yeah.
But no, I literally went all in and said this is my year. Otherwise, I don't know what else to do. I wanted to go all in, and by the end of the year, I say I hit the jackpot.
Definitely did, and like the fact that we were able to get you out of that shell, because you with that belt is already been pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Craven at Winter Clash. It's going to be a great match. But before we actually finish this here, um, Uh, are there any matches? Now that we are you got IMF and we got WC and
Mm.
we got. Are there any matches or uh, feder promotions or places you want to wrestle or people you want to wrestle that you haven't wrestled yet?
Well, there's a lot behind that, and a lot of it's because the backyard wrestling community is starting to sprout again. Um, as you know, I started that Discord.
Link below.
Yep, and the invite will be below, hopefully. And it really, and the whole announcement by Sick Rick saying, "Hey, let's have a reunion next year with everybody from the old GBYWN era." There's probably gonna be some Link vets there too. They're gonna have a big show in Pittsburgh, and that's probably the next bucket list is to wrestle in Pittsburgh. Something I said I'd never do because I hated those guys at the time. But now that things are different and we're all adults and we're all cool with each other and people respect each other now, like I'm willing to do it. And for a reunion to see some of those people one more time, why the hell not? I want to go to Summer Bash next year in Ohio.
Same.
We plan on doing that together.
Yeah.
That's a Jovi's quest in the making. Like I wanna go to a place XCW in Indiana, so me and Massacre can maybe have one more match. But if Massacre joins, I think it's Remy Ravage is what they're going with.
Okay.
So XCW guys, if you heard anything from Remy Ravage, which I know you have, be sure to book her. Anyway,
Any other places or this way?
I mean anywhere. Honestly, I want this next season to be something special. Something that's gonna put some spark back in the name of backyard wrestling. When we did the opening intro for WC saying reigniting backyard wrestling, that's not just some phrase I came up with when I created it. That is a mission statement. And I mean every word of that. Because when I came back I was like, I have to have an end game here. And honestly, I think I found the end game. Well, maybe not the end game, but definitely a further along situation. That is to bring the backyard community back together. And I'm already pretty good on that. And it seems there's a lot of spark going around. Now, what's the end game? Honestly, if I can get a bunch of feds together and we do round robin tournaments within those feds, that's right, I'm explaining my tournament idea. You already heard it.
Oh yeah.
So I want at least 4 feds out there. WCE is probably going to be one of them, obviously. IMF is about down. We need 2 more you guys out there to come on down with this idea. Because what I want is every federation to do a round robin tournament, since it's impossible to get everyone together consistently for a round robin tournament.
Yeah.
So we'll have a champion of each federation. Each federation will have their own award or something and to be crowned a champion of. But then the winners of each federation go on to the big World Cup tournament, whatever I decide to call it. It's hopefully Summer Bash, I'm hoping. If not, maybe talk Rick into doing it at his reunion. And crown a world champion. Not just a world champion, the biggest backyard wrestling champion of all time. Because this is a tournament not just for people to get bragging rights. This is a tournament to see who's the best. You're thinking about it, you have 4 to 6 people in each fed representing that claim they want to be the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
I myself included. We go to this tournament at Summer Bash. Who wins? And the person that wins it, I think they have bragging rights over anyone else in the yard because they have proven that they are the best amongst however many feds are in this.
I just feel like this could be an annual thing.
I want it to be. That's the end game, Crenson. That is the end game, and you have discovered it yourself.
That is awesome.
That is what I want. If yarding lives as long as it does, as long as I can make it happen, I want this to be a yearly thing until I at least retire.
Okay, that That is
That's an end game I didn't think I was going to let out, but that's the end game I want.
that honestly, I'm more looking if we can get people involved, more people involved. I am definitely looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. More details will be in the works. If it doesn't happen this upcoming season, I'm going to make it happen the next season. It just depends on what everyone's availability is and what feds are actually interested in joining.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sean, for being my first guest here on the Confessionals. I'm so glad that you were able to do this for me, and I hope you kick Craven's ass at
Yeah. And I hope you kick
Winterfest.
that actual wrestler's ass.
I'm gonna have fun with this. You
Yeah,
take
all
care,
right.
man.
Yeah, you too. Hey, don't beat up Darkfire for me.
Don't worry.
Okay.